Greetings on this last day of 2024, and as a special treat I'm going to read my Facebook post today, and I'm going to have to do it in one go because that's all I have. I have no editing, just an iPhone. So here we go. Every day I receive at least 10 personal messages from people detailing the horrors of life in Palestine, requesting help. This year, that's approaching 4,000 personal messages from people I don't know, saying they're starving to death, pleading for help. At the same time, I know how much aid is available to these people suffering in Palestine, because the United Nations set up a well-funded body specifically for this purpose, UNRWA. I also know how much Chef José Andrés has raised with the World Food Kitchen to ensure that the hungry are fed. What is abundantly clear is that the blockade in place to prevent food and other essential supplies from reaching these besieged people remains enforced with deadly efficiency, as you would expect with multi-billion-dollar funding from the United States. The Rome Statute of the International Criminal Court includes starvation as a war crime when committed within an international armed conflict. In 2018, Switzerland proposed extending this provision to non-international armed conflict. Who is enforcing this blockade? The answer is very clearly the United States. To end the blockade and allow the food that waits in trucks just a few miles from the children dying of starvation requires just one simple decision at foreign policy level. Stop funding those who kill the aid workers trying to deliver food. Stop defunding UNRWA simply for doing what this United Nations agency was set up to do. And stop sending US planes and bombs to kill World Food Kitchen American citizens for trying to feed starving children in their Christian-themed efforts. Then stop defending the criminals who starve babies to death from the full weight of the law that exists to prosecute this form of criminality. There's no simple way to say this. Biden's ironclad support for war crimes cannot ever free him from the guilt of what he has done. The same goes for those 2/3 of Americans dumbed down by the likes of Heather Cox Richardson encouraging votes for this starvation policy. Evidently, 2/3 of American voters did not know that voting for leaders whose policy stands ironclad behind starvation genocide is ethically problematic. That interfering with the legal agencies who exist to provide life-sustaining aid in circumstances like this, where a fascist genociding force set out to commit genocide in plain view of our dumbed-down majority with their unconscious fascist bias, who simply ignore their complicity in what is without doubt the worst crime against humanity of our lifetime. Starving over 2 million people to death, ruthlessly enforcing the blockade to the full extent that they have, destroying the trucks, killing the aid workers, preventing trucks loaded with aid entering, and then attacking UNRWA in the press, literally defunding the agency charged with feeding the hungry. All the while voting, as 2/3 of American voters did, for a leader class who blessed the manifest destiny narrative mainstream media and the promoted pundits from the big influence complex educate them with. Offering personalized nationalist historical accounts of American exceptionalism in which they should celebrate their accomplishments as the worst child murderers in history. We spend billions creating the largest child amputee population in the history of man's inhumanity to man. We did that, USA #1. With every passing day, the starving in Palestine die in great pain, while not one voice from the leader class or the American voter manifest destiny majority have one word to say about the criminality of what they do, preferring instead to defund international law to allow their ironclad support for this genocidal blockade to progress to their clearly stated goal, in which they designate those they wish to murder en masse as terrorists and then set about their genocide by establishing their Zionist anarchy in place of international law. They are not breaking laws in their genocide that destroys schools, hospitals, journalists, prem babies in incubators, UN aid workers, and at least 100,000 children under the age of 10. Biden refutes, he absolutely refutes anything illegal is happening. Who are you going to believe, Biden or your lying eyes? It's just mowing the lawn. Israel has the right to mow the lawn. Biden said so. As a lifelong Zionist, he should know. Every single day of 2024, this American-sponsored blockade has visited unspeakable horror on the people of Palestine. The 2.3 million incarcerated in concentration camp Gaza will never recover any aspect of normal life in life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, basic rights. Even if any survive this determined effort by 2/3 of the United States to starve everyone to death, the trauma of what any survivors will have endured will leave scars worse by far than those who survived the Nazi death camps, who we use as case studies in how humans recover from Nazi depravity. How likely is it that I will be writing the same end-of-year review of American moral turpitude in a society so dumbed down in their commitment to voting for evil? The lesser or the greater? Which evil shall I vote for this Zionist election? I fully expect to simply repost this post on New Year's Eve 2025, largely because 2/3 of America still stand ironclad behind their manifest destiny to be the greatest child killers in history. With imminent octogenarian Trump at the helm, we can expect big things from 2025. The question is, do 2/3 of Americans think starving 2 million people to death with premeditation and deliberation should be illegal just because international law says it is? Perhaps, if we keep on ignoring our role in the genocide, by this time next year, every last witness will be gone, and we can read celebrated, well-read historian Heather Cox Richardson's review of American history for her 2.2 million readers who have no way of knowing this chapter of American history. If Heather didn't see anything worth mentioning in our right to blockade starve 2.2 million people in 2024, it seems unlikely she will find any interest in mentioning it in 2025. Did you know that the United States is funding starvation genocide in Palestine in which infants are dying? Our legacy of 2024 is nothing to see here. Biden is a good man, experienced, a safe pair of hands, handing over to the greatest leader in American presidential history. A genius with a small pair of hands. 2025 is going to be great for America and the fascist oligarchy in every Zionist-led country. For the rest of the world, not so much. Wishing us all more thoughtfulness in 2025. Maybe stop voting for leaders to starve babies to freezing death is a good resolution to aim for, or not. Unconscious Nazi bias also has its merits. Just keep reading the prescription. Wishing you a good 2025 New Year's Eve.